Hey, and welcome to video number 2. In this specific video, we're going to talk about different types of themes. So let me explain to you why niche specific themes are the best way to go. The more specific, the better. And what this does is it sets the tone for what your theme will look like later on in terms of layout, which we'll talk about in the next video. Now, if you know what your audience wants, what they desire, what they don't like, and things like that, then creating a WordPress theme is just a lot easier for you. So let me give you some examples here. Dentist theme. Let's say, for example, you create a WordPress theme for dentists. I mean, think about it. If you created a WordPress theme for dentists where they can go in, they can tweak it however they like it, they can add videos, add a slider, add their opt-in contact form, quote form, or informational form, and so forth, then you've got down a very profitable niche. And think about it, if you have a more general theme, there's nothing wrong with that. So you have a specific layout that is targeted towards the needs of a dentist. So for example, a dentist theme, the purpose is to generate leads. So you would have maybe half information about who the staff is, maybe some information about how to keep your teeth clean and so forth, but also some call to action sales layout designs that tries to get people to basically call the number or take action, fill out the form, or do something called action. And then we have e-commerce themes. If you think about an e-commerce theme, somebody goes to a site, they're looking to buy. They're not really looking for information except for maybe shipping and handling and fees. They're looking primarily for sales. So if you were to create a WordPress e-commerce theme, then it would be purely sales. Or a blog theme, maybe primarily teaching. You've got a blog every day or a video every day on the blog, and your ultimate goal is to build a list. So you want to make sure that the layout that you choose has, like an opt-in form where they can fill out the information, get a free gift, and then build your list. So knowing who your audience is crucial before you create your WordPress theme. So with that said, let me go ahead and jump right in. Let's talk about researching your market, researching your demographics, and your competitors. Now, before I help you identify the market and do research on your demographics and your competitors, I want to make a note here, and a clear note to tell you that when we're developing a WordPress theme, let's say for dentists, you're not necessarily developing it for the dentists, but you're developing it for the dentist customers. So you need to know what kind of people visit the dentist sites so that you know who you can appeal to. So with that said, the first thing I would recommend that you do is to brainstorm a list of niches that you could possibly go into. And then second of all, what you want to do next is to go to a site called alexa.com. So up at the top here, type in alexa.com. Alexa.com is basically a search engine of traffic. And it doesn't necessarily tell you the exact amount of traffic that a site might get, but it'll give you a generalized idea. Now, it's not necessarily traffic that we're looking for. We're basically looking for sites, the top sites of a specific niche. And you'll see why I want to do this in just a second. So let's say, for example, that I want to develop a WordPress theme specifically for dentists. So if I go to alexa.com, I go to the search box here and I type in dentist. Do a search, and let's see what we get. Now, as I pay close attention to the websites that show up, I realize that dentist doesn't really show dentist type sites. So I might want to choose a different related search here. For example, dental. So we have dental, Delta Dental, ADA.org, dental insurance, Delta Dental Inns, Aetna, dental plans, and so forth. And let's just open this up here, dentist without the S, and see what we get. So we have 1-800-DENTIST. So the goal is to get a dentist website that is high ranking and that gets a lot of traffic. And the reason why is the next thing we're going to do now is to go to a site called quantcast.com. And Quantcast helps us figure out the demographics of the people that are visiting these dentist websites. If we have a better idea of what kind of person visits a dentist website, we can better appeal to their needs and wants and desires. So as you can see, if you go to quantcast.com, that's QUANTCAST.com, and the reason why we went to Alexa.com was to primarily get access to high-ranking websites. So ADA.org, for example, is American Dental. So we could go to Quantcast and see what we get. Sometimes Quantcast will not really give you any data. For example, this site here, we do see data, so that's good. I'm going to open up several more tabs in Quantcast so that we can do searches on the other domain names. So 1-800-dentist.com. I'm going to do a search for that. I'm going to go over here and see what we get. And what I'm looking for is a pattern here. So, for example, I'm not really interested in the traffic here. What I'm interested in is the demographics. Like, are the majority of the people male or female? What kind of age group? Do they have kids or no kids? So for me, when I think of dentists, I think of, the demographics being more people with kids. But I could be wrong because that's a guessing game in my head. What I'm trying to do is get factual data from Quantcast. So we got dentalplans.com. We notice here that female seems to be the highest. About a lower to about 150,000. No college, African American and Hispanic with no kids. Now if we go to dental plans, we see it's female, a later age, no kids, 0 to 50K, no college, and African American. So that's very, very interesting to me in terms of what I thought earlier. So what I thought earlier was actually very, very different. And as we can begin to think, we realize, okay, wait a minute. Female, that makes sense. Older age group probably makes sense. This is interesting to me. No college or college, an African American or Hispanic, and no kids. So earlier I thought it would probably be kids, but now it says that it's no kids. So what I want to do now is just look at the other sites and see if there is a pattern. Because if there's a pattern and all the sites say one thing and all the other sites say another, then there is probably a discrepancy somewhere. Like, for example, if I wanted to create a WordPress theme specifically for tooth whitening dentists or periodontal disease or dentures, then I could specifically target the keywords and know exactly who I might be targeting. And this gives me a better idea of what kind of WordPress layout I possibly should create. So I want you to jot this down. Dentist. We've got female. It looks to me like ages 25 to plus. No kids. About 0 to 50K. No college to college. And African American. And some of the sites I saw actually Hispanic and Asian. So I find that to be quite interesting in terms of who goes to dentist websites. Now, with this data, I'm not saying that go directly and create a WordPress theme that appeals to certain types of people. But I'm basically saying that, okay, we have something here. We've got female, so you definitely want to appeal to females, possibly with no kids. So those two things stand out the greatest. Now what I want to do is simply go to Google, and I'm going to show you a neat trick. If you type in the keyword WordPress, put quotations around it, and put a plus sign and put dentist. Something like call now or something. What we're trying to find are like dentist WordPress themes. You could even do a search for powered by WordPress, assuming that some people have WordPress themes that are powered by WordPress. And I basically just opened a bunch of tabs here. And as we can see here, these are different WordPress layouts in terms of themes for dentists. And as we can see here, we've got the logo here, call us now here, navigation bar, slider. We've got a form, contact form, or a gift form. We've got social media and a footer down here. So that seems to be pretty standard. If we look at other sites, I'm kind of noticing that I suspect that this theme is actually the same as this theme, because not only are the images the same, if you notice carefully, the navigation bar actually looks very, very similar, and the footer does as well. So I think that's actually quite interesting. So yeah, so that's an example of if somebody had a WordPress theme that was very similar to all of these. In fact, I'm looking at it and I actually see very, very similar themes but different sites. So we have a great example in this example of somebody who has created a WordPress theme. It looks like to me like they're all ranked, cluttered together, and ranked well. But these are WordPress themes that somebody created, and all they have to do is simply change it around for each and every different dentist. So if you go through option number 1, you could actually do this quite easily and get set up with a matter of a couple of days. Now, if you go option number 2, obviously you have the ability to allow your users to edit your theme. Now, you need to know your audience. Obviously, dentists, they probably don't have time to really tweak the theme. So option 1 might be better in this case. But if your audience is somebody who's maybe a small one-time business owner, one-person business owner who wants to do everything themselves, option number 2 might be the better way to go. Now, what I find interesting is the images that are used fit the demographics of what we saw earlier. Female, African American, and so forth. So I think that's quite interesting. And this wasn't planned in any way. So this is a WordPress theme here as well, and one here as well. Now, obviously you can see the difference between this one versus this one. And this one is just simply a WordPress blog that was created, header was uploaded, and that was it. But you can really tell a difference between that one and this one. So with all the research that I've showed you, you have a better idea about demographics and how it can actually affect the way you create the theme, but also the way you set up the theme. So the demographics impacts primarily the content that you add to the theme later down the road. So with that said, let's move on to video number 3, where I discuss in terms of the layout of